opening on the planet Tatooine. From the opening titles, we descend to a shot of Tatooine from space. Everything is quiet and peaceful until suddenly a classic X-Wing spacecraft bursts onto the screen. We still don't know who the pilot is, navigating the spacecraft as it enters the planet and lands in a remote area far from civilization. After a few moments, the ship opens, and out steps Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, now 43 years old and a Jedi Master. He calls out to R2. Luke and R2 begin walking along the mountain where they landed. They proceed for some time until they reach a remote settlement of sand people. He sneaks between the houses trying to find what he's searching for until he hears an unusual sound coming from within the camp. A voice. Human? Could it be? Suddenly he notices a girl. The girl is frightened, but Luke approaches her and tries to ask how she is. After a few moments, the girl decides to trust Luke. She reveals herself to be Tahiri Vela, Dakota Fanning, an 11-year-old girl who was adopted by the Sand People at a young age after her parents died. Luke offers her the opportunity to join him and learn to be a Jedi under his guidance. After some gentle persuasion, Tahiri agrees. After one last look at Tatooine, she agrees to board Luke's ship and join him at the Jedi Order. They fly over Tatooine and jump into hyperspace. After a long flight, Luke calls out to Tahiri, who was daydreaming, and shows her Yavin 4, the planet where Jedi train under his instruction. During the landing, Luke asks her how she feels. She says she's scared. He explains that there's nothing to be afraid of and that they are about to meet people who would give their lives for her. After one last moment of hesitation, Tahiri steps off the ship and joins Luke.
Cut to the Galactic Senate, Coruscant. Suddenly, we move to the Galactic Senate on Coruscant, where we observe a heated debate opened by Senator Bespin, Lando Calrissian, Billy D. Williams. He argues that the rumors of an Imperial sympathizer coalition forming an army that poses a real threat to the Republic are not serious. But his words are abruptly interrupted by Senator Shira Bree, Kate Winslet. Bree represents Coruscant in the Senate and was a former fighter with the rebels against the Empire. Shira Bree reveals that she encountered the coalition during purges against Imperial colonies. According to her, the Second Imperium is led by a former Jedi Knight who has kept his identity secret, and former Imperial stormtroopers are actively involved in the organization. Suddenly, the chaos is interrupted by the Senate's leader herself, Leia Organa Solo, Carrie Fisher. She states that the only military force currently available to the Republic is volunteers from the former rebels, some of whom now have jobs and families, and the young Jedi Order, which is not yet trained enough for such a mission. She argues that the solution must be purely diplomatic, encouraging the inhabitants of these planets to resist the organization's presence among them. Leia, my dear, this is naivety that will cost us the Republic. Shira Bree manages to sway the Senate against Leia, who is left powerless against the shouts and fears of the various representatives. After the debate, Lando and Leia try to figure out what the right course of action is.
Cut to Yavin 4, the new Jedi Temple. After the Senate debate, we return to Tahiri and Luke, who have officially landed on Yavin 4. As they disembark, they are greeted by C-3PO, who was appointed by Luke to oversee the welfare of the students. Tahiri follows Luke cautiously. Finally, they reach the interior of the temple, where she meets those who are already training there. The 15-year-old twins of Han and Leia, Jaina Solo, Emma Watson, and Jason Solo, Kit Harington, along with Tenel Kajo, Sophie Turner, 16 years old, and Chewbacca's nephew, Lobaka. Juna Suatomo, the oldest of Luke's Academy members at 20, rescued by Luke in the same year the Empire was defeated. When Tahiri arrives, Jason and Tenel glare at her judgmentally, making her feel uncomfortable. Lobaka isolates himself in another corner of the room, and it is Jaina Solo who decides to break the ice, trying to connect with and befriend Tahiri. She welcomes her, but just before the conversation can develop, Luke calls them to gather and prepare for their first training session of the day.
Cut to the Solo family home, Coruscant. After the dramatic Senate debate, Leia returns home to Coruscant, where her husband, Han Solo, Harrison Ford, is waiting for her. She asks him what's happening, and Han tells her that now is the right time to send their son, Anakin Solo, Timothy Chalamet, who has reached the age of 11, to the Jedi Academy before it's too late.
Tahiri bonds with the Academy kids on Yavin 4. Tahiri begins training but struggles to fit in with the other Academy members due to her complex past, and she keeps to herself. The only one who manages to communicate with her is Jaina. However, in the training sessions, she proves to be exceptionally talented, prompting Luke to take her for private training to further enhance her abilities in the Force. Jason, struggling to keep up, becomes jealous of Tahiri's skills. We see them sitting together for a meal. And to help Tahiri open up to everyone, Jaina convinces Lobak and Tenel to share their pasts at the table. Lando spies on Shira Bree and begins on Coruscant. On Coruscant, Shira Bree boards a small ship and travels outside the capital to a mysterious destination, while Lando, on a mission from Han Solo, tries to follow her and understand what she's plotting and what her interest in the war is. Lando follows Bree to the moon of Endor, where the rebels defeated the Empire 20 years earlier. She enters a secret headquarters there, and Lando sneaks into the base to uncover what is happening. She enters a secret headquarters, and Lando follows her, unable to believe his eyes. Shira Bree is secretly meeting with Zach, Eli Roth, a Jedi Knight who deserted Luke's order and whom she must share the information she uncovered to ignite the war. Just before Lando leaves, the soldiers of the Second Imperium capture him and take him prisoner. The Skywalker Solo family reunites. Yavin 4. The mission that the Solo family is on arrives at Yavin 4, and for the first time in a long time, the Skywalker Solo family reunites. Han, Leia, and Luke embrace, and even Jaina and Jason are excited about their parents' arrival at the Academy. Leia says she needs to speak with Luke privately, but mentions that Anakin accompanied them on the trip and that he needs to learn to be a Jedi. Luke agrees and instructs Anakin to join the apprentices in the temple. Tahiri and Anakin exchange glances, and there's an immediate connection between them. Meanwhile, Leia updates Luke on the mystery surrounding Shira Bree. Han says he asked Lando to sniff around her, but he hasn't reported back in a long time. Luke suddenly says he feels a disturbance in the Force, and Leia receives an urgent transmission. Everyone watches the transmission together, Yavin 4. Moments of anxiety and fear strike the galaxy. The mysterious Jedi Knight who left the Order and is suspected of leading the Second Imperium reveals himself to all. Zack announces that he is holding Lando Calrissian hostage and that he will only release him after the Republic agrees to a new treaty that will restore the Empire's status. Additionally, he reveals that Luke and Leia are the children of Darth Vader who terrorized the galaxy for years. While watching the transmission in the temple, protests against Leia and the Jedi begin on Coruscant, and a civil war is on the verge of breaking out. Leia realizes she must return to the Senate and try to sort out this mess. She says goodbye to her children and asks Han to go get Chewbacca so they can rescue Lando from Zack, who is holding him hostage. After Han and Leia leave, Tahiri isolates herself in the temple, and Jaina asks how she's doing. Tahiri says she trusted Luke, only to find out he's the son of one of the galaxy's worst villains. Jaina explains Vader's motives and what happened, saying that Luke was able to save him because he believed there was still good in him. Tahiri and Jaina become good friends, while Jason and Tenel talk about the shocking revelation. Anakin remains somewhat alone, struggling to find himself, and Tahiri goes to talk to him. Leia returns to the Senate, accompanied by Han and Chewbacca. Han asks her if she's sure she wants to stand before them, and she says she has no choice. She arrives at the emergency Senate debate called by Shira Bree and explains the story behind Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader, asking them to see her for who she is and that she too suffered because of her father. Unfortunately for Leia, a vote of no confidence is brought against her, and she is removed from her position as head of the Senate. Tahiri privately trains Anakin, helping him significantly improve his Force abilities. As they train more together, their bond grows, until they fall in love and share a kiss during one of their training sessions. Tahiri is curious about Anakin, the youngest of the Solo children, after hearing about the family's complex history. Tenel and Jacen talk at the same time, and she says all she wants is to be respected for who she is, not just because she's destined to be queen. Chewbacca and Han decide to go rescue Lando themselves. His signal indicated that he was recently on Endor. What they don't know is that they are about to meet Zack, the former Jedi Knight who turned to the dark side. When they arrive, they try to act covertly and manage to reach Lando. But just as they are about to head to the ship, Zack stabs Chewbacca with his lightsaber. He doesn't kill him, but asks them to deliver a message to the Galactic Senate on his behalf. The war is about to begin, and the Imperium's army will attack the capital very soon. The group returns to Coruscant, and Leia is at a loss, due to the horrifying revelation Lando made after being rescued. Lando wants to speak before the Senate, but Leia asks him not to do so at this stage. Until they understand Shira Bree's plan, they need to make her think Leia suspects nothing. Therefore, it is decided that Lando will travel with Chewbacca to hide on Yavin 4, at the Jedi Temple, where he will be protected. Meanwhile, Leia goes to the final vote on sending Jedi representatives to attack the Second Imperium. The vote passes, and afterward, Shira Bree and Leia meet and talk. Leia says she doesn't know her anymore, but Shira gives her a hug and promises that everything will become clear soon. Luke decides to announce to all the Academy's students which group will go to attack the Imperium at their base on the remote planet Merkur. The team Luke chooses to send under his leadership includes Tahiri, Lobaka, and Tenel. To his two nephews, he assigns a different task: to protect Lando, who, once it is revealed that he was rescued from the Imperium, will likely be targeted for assassination because of what he knows. They accept the mission. Anakin, due to his young age and lack of experience, is not given a role in the team, but he decides to sneak onto the ship to protect Tahiri from afar. Tahiri and Jaina have one last conversation before the mission starts and wish each other that the Force will be with them as they share a final hug. Preparations by the Imperium, Merkur. Zack and Shira Bree communicate via hologram. He prepares the Imperium's forces on Merkur for the first battle of the war, while Shira Bree prepares the diplomatic steps in the Senate. Zack causes his Kyber crystal to bleed, and for the first time, he wields a red lightsaber. Additionally, when he asks about Luke, Bree reassures him, saying she has already taken care of it. We see a mysterious figure with a double-bladed lightsaber following Luke's ship, with an array of weapons near the ship's steering system. The battles of Yavin 4, Merkur, and Endor. While they're guarding Lando alongside Chewbacca, R2-D2, and C-3PO on Yavin 4, Zack suddenly arrives and wants to talk to Jaina. Jacen fears it's a trap, but Zack tries to deceive Jaina, who was once his beloved in the Jedi Order. At the last moment, he reveals himself to Jaina's heartbreak, and a fight breaks out between the Solo siblings and Zack. Transition. Luke lands on Endor to understand the nature of Shira Bree's betrayal, but at the last moment, just before entering the headquarters, he is attacked by the mysterious assassin, who turns out to be Mara Jade, Jessica Chastain, a secret assassin of Emperor Palpatine who received mysterious orders from the one who is set to continue his legacy. A lightsaber duel breaks out between Luke and Mara Jade. Transition. When the group arrives at Merkur, they discover it's a trap, and that the Imperium anticipated their arrival. A creature called Voxen attacks them there, and the battle begins. Tahiri is injured by the creature, but Anakin saves her. He urges his friends to go and help Tanel and the other former rebels in the battle for the base, saying he will fend off the creature. Tahiri refuses a farewell kiss, confident he will return from the fight. Anakin and the creature engage in combat, while Tanel and Tahiri lead the fight against the Imperium stormtroopers at the Merkur base. Jaina and Jacen manage to capture Zack with the help of Lando and C-3PO, who provide a distraction during the battle. Meanwhile, Lando, Chewbacca, Jacen, and Jaina interrogate Zack, who reveals that he turned to the dark side of the Force after realizing that Luke was making a mistake by restoring the Jedi Order, and that corruption in the Republic would be enormous once the truth about the Skywalker lineage was revealed. He also reveals that he is just the apprentice, and that there is a master who controls everything from the shadows. Luke manages to defeat Mara Jade and free her from the Force hypnosis she was under. After Luke defeats Mara Jade, she agrees to take him to the headquarters, where Luke learns a terrible truth. It turns out that Emperor Palpatine left messages and agents in case of his death to various loyalists within the Empire to lead the campaign to rebuild the Empire. And that's not all. It turns out that Palpatine secretly trained another Sith who would succeed him as the Sithari and try to destroy the Jedi once and for all. Luke immediately makes the connection and realizes the Sith is Shira Bree. Transition. After Tanel and Tahiri succeed in capturing Merkur, they return to check on Anakin, only to find that he has been mortally wounded in the battle against the monster. Tahiri and Anakin share a final goodbye kiss, and Tahiri is left heartbroken after her first battle as a Jedi. After the battles, we see Shira Bree sitting in her chair as the head of the Senate late at night. Leia comes to visit her and exposes her as the Sith who secretly controls the Second Imperium. Bree admits her guilt, ignites a red lightsaber, and tries to attack Leia with it. What she forgot is that Leia herself is a Jedi Master, and they engage in a brief lightsaber duel.
Tahiri apologizes for allowing Anakin to participate in the battle and says she should have known something would happen to him. Luke says it was the will of the Force and that he knew about their training. Their fates are intertwined, and now Tahiri must continue to fight for him. The one who manages to talk to Tahiri and convince her that she must try to move forward is Jaina. After this conversation, the entire group attends the funeral of young Anakin Solo, including Mara Jade, who has now joined the Jedi Order as Luke's apprentice. Tahiri leaves the funeral and looks up at the sky from the iconic spot where, in A New Hope, the ships departed to destroy the Death Star, with the Force theme playing in the background.